Why this name?
Because it's two Latin words, vis, which means the power to, and imperio, which means to learn and discover. And that's what we're all about, is the power to learn and discover.
I'm not smart enough to figure that out. One of the challenges of service managers is teaching advisors to overcome objections. You have to overcome objections every day. You have service managers, you have general managers that you deal with on a regular basis. I'm willing to bet that they object to, I don't have the time for training. I don't have the time to dedicate to VISPERIO. I don't think my team has the time to dedicate. You know what? You're too expensive, right? You know what? We'll just deal with it on our own. What do you say to it? What do you say to that?
I think the reality when it comes down, it's no different than your customers when they have objections, right? It's the same kind of concept. But when we're talking about our people and really investing in our people, it comes down to what's it costing you not to do this? And we think about that on the service drive is right now what's happening on the service drive is you're practicing on your customers. Odds are probably not going the greatest at all times. So it's costing you a lot of money to sit there and practice on your customers. And if we can provide a tool and a solution to where we can allow you to role play, practice, we can provide the knowledge and the execution and the accountability piece. Those are the three pieces that we really need to make change in that dealership. But a lot of times we might have the knowledge even, but how do we execute on that knowledge? You know, a lot of people that know a lot of things, but they never quite execute. They're always just short of that execution piece. Well, why is that? Right? So we want to provide that solution to where you can not only understand and gain the knowledge, but you can execute on it. And we have the accountability pieces built in.
170 episodes, well over 200 coaching sessions. Accountability is the single most important thing that I think we've lost in the service department as a whole. Now, I don't know whether I can say that whether about sales or parts or anywhere else, but I know for a fact that we have lost that high level accountability that comes in the service department.
Right.
There is a significant challenge for service managers, for technicians, and for service advisors to level up when they aren't being held accountable, or if they're in a leadership role, holding people accountable as well as themselves.
Yes.
Training, processes, just schedules, getting people to show up. It's such a difficult thing, but I think it stems from the fact that there is a lack of accountability. So is there something that you teach? Now, it's hard to teach accountability because it's a big deal, but is there something you teach that leads to accountability or better accountability so that service managers can get people to show up to work?
Yeah, I think the biggest deal there is what's the standard in your store? Does everybody have a clear vision? Do they understand your mission? And what's the standard you're setting in the store? And hey, if we all know that, and then we design the environment for the successful outcome, right? To your point, if I let Jimmy shows up at 7:15 when he's supposed to be there at 7 every day, and I kind of just let it slide because I want to be nice, well, that's a big problem, right? Versus if I'm a kind leader, and we talk a lot about kind leadership, well, kind leadership is holding that person accountable, setting that standard, having that conversation in the store. Because the moment you start to open that faucet just a little bit and let that happen, well, now we all know what's going to happen, right? Everybody else is going to follow suit. But to that point, have we set the standard in the store? Because usually what happens in that scenario is, hey, somebody's showing up late every single day, and then all of a sudden, maybe a hammer drops on them one day with zero warning whatsoever. Well, have you had a conversation with that technician? Maybe he's got to drop his kids off at school. Maybe you need to be a little flexible in the schedule. Maybe he wants to say 30 minutes later and his start time should be 7:30. It's okay to have those scenarios. It's not just black and white, especially nowadays. We need to be accountable to ourselves and the employees. The moment we hire somebody, we take the responsibility for that person and their family's livelihood. That's the reality. That is the privilege to be able to lead and manage people. Well, what are you doing? Are you being empathetic to those situations? Do you have a general understanding of what's going on and what that person really needs? What is their goal? Do they want to become a shop foreman someday? They want to be an advisor or a manager. Do you know that? Maybe not, right? So having that conversation, having that two-way street is so important, just having the open feedback.
It's challenging to have those difficult conversations. right?
Yeah.
Building up the confidence as a new leader, especially building up the confidence to be able to have the hard conversations with people that may or may not be performing well. The challenge that we use my own experience, how I had challenges, is understanding the difference between personal performance and professional performance. And knowing that as a leader, learning what the difference is per person helped the whole business succeed and accelerate faster.
Yeah.
If you can determine that Jimmy doesn't show up to work because he's dropping off the kids, because he's taking care of his family first, he's thinking of family first. As me, as a leader, family first.
Yeah.
Always. To a point, Jimmy still got to show up to work.
Yeah.
The fact that Jimmy didn't communicate that that's what he was doing and it was why it was causing him to be a few minutes late every single day means that you, as a leader, haven't built up enough trust with Jimmy for him to feel safe to tell that to you.
Yeah.
So that's two-way street. Jimmy's not talking to you, but you haven't built up enough trust so he would talk to you.
Correct.
What do you teach in order to get leaders to build trust?
So a lot of it is being transparent and vulnerable. So vulnerability is part of it, to understand that, hey, it's okay to maybe not know exactly what to do at every point in time. Be open and transparent with your team. If you go to Jimmy, you talk to any of your technicians, we've all been involved in technician meetings where somebody's talking about maybe a new process that we're going to do, right? Well, was there a bunch of head nods in that meeting, or was there collaboration between the two? It's collaboration, it's transparency, and a little bit of vulnerability on that manager side, which is hard to do. Especially if you came maybe from a peer to a leader. Now you were a peer, now you're their leader. Maybe you were the shop foreman and now you're the manager. It's a tough road to kind of battle because you had relationships with these people, right? So there's a lot to unpack there. Or maybe you're an advisor and you just became the manager. Both situations happen. Well, in those instances, they're comfortable in one spot. The shop foreman's comfortable in the shop. Well, guess where they spend a lot of their time? In the shop still, even though they're now in that manager role. So typically what you see is the service advisors, that service drive process usually is a big opportunity. Or vice versa. Hey, I'm a great service advisor. Now I'm the manager, but I never really spent a lot of time in the shop. So I don't have the understanding, but my title is manager. Maybe I don't want to raise my hand and say, hey, I'm not sure about this, or I'm not sure what we should do. Well, now that I'm a manager, we kind of feel like all the weight's on our shoulders because we have the title. The reality is, the moment that you start to be transparent with your employees, you start to be open and honest about exactly what's going on, it naturally builds collaboration. And then you start creating processes together. And then by the time you implement it, it's smooth, right? Hey, we're going to start this on Monday. Well, fantastic. I thought we were starting it today, right? It's not even hardly, you don't need buy-in because they created it together with you. The rollout's seamless.
We're at ASOTUCON in 2025. We are 3/4 of the way through day one. Fred's taking over the camera. So is John trying to take over the camera. What have you learned today, or what have you taught someone today that would help a service manager be more productive, more profitable to you?
So it's execution. That's the big piece. So execution is always the piece that seems to be missing. We love to give information. So we love the information side, we love the knowledge side, but it's the execution piece, is how do we guide those employees and how do we set up the environment to give us the outcome that we're really desiring? Meaning, hey, on my service drive, what's the process when that customer comes in? Does everybody have kind of their own process, or do we have a standard process in that store? How are we executing and setting expectations with that customer when they come in? Because what ends up happening, I'll give you a great example, is any one of these dealerships, you can ask them, how many times you deal with a status phone call? Most of the time, you're going to hear quite a bit, right? Ask the business development center, right? How many times you deal with a status phone call? Well, why is that? What are we telling the customer when they show up? If the customer shows up and it's Mrs. Jones and she's there for an oil change, and you say, hey, it's going to be about an hour, what is Mrs. Jones doing 30 minutes later? She's pacing, wondering where her car is. She's maybe asking you. No different if you say, hey, it's going to be about half the day, or I'll call you towards the end of the day. That's language that they don't understand, because end of day means something different to you than it means to me. So instead of doing that, say, hey, great news, Mrs. Jones, about 10 o'clock right now. I'm going to have an answer for you right about 2:15. I'll give you a call. So they know what 2:15 is. Guess what she's not doing before 2:15? Now, the reality is you got to hold yourself accountable to do exactly what you said you were going to do, which was follow up with Mrs. Jones by 2:15.
Gotcha.
So it's the execution and the accountability and really setting that expectation clearly with the individuals. No different than the manager needs to set clear expectations with their employees.
What's one piece of advice that you'd give a technician to be happier, healthier, more productive tomorrow?
So I think the technician side is really interesting, right? Because sometimes they don't really get the attention that maybe they really deserve, right? And so as a technician, it's easy to kind of fall into that mindset or that trap that, oh, I just fix the cars, or I just do the oil changes, right? Or whatever that might be. Well, it's really understanding the value of your role. Like as a manager, are you clear about the value of that role? As a technician, right? What are you doing to be the most proficient that you can be in your day? Is there areas where, hey, every day I've got to go search for keys, or hey, they park cars way out in the North 40 and it takes us 10, 15 minutes to go get cars every single time, or hey, we're washing cars. Well, if you sit down and you really calculate how much time you spend doing those tasks, we call it unproductive time, of course. Well, that unproductive time turns into a lot of hours at the end of the week and the end of the month. So it's okay as a technician, and your manager would probably appreciate it if you spoke up and had some data, right? It isn't going in and just complaining or anything like that. It's having data to back it up that says, hey, for about a week now, I've been tracking how long it takes me in parts to get parts. Or I've been tracking how long it takes me to go find keys or get keys, right? Or go get the car or wash cars. And you brought that to your manager. Well, that's a pretty powerful conversation that's about to happen, because now we can justify the change that needs to happen.
I would come to you as a service manager or a fixed ops director looking for ways to teach my team how to find problems and then solve them, and be part of the reason, part of the communication, part of the conversation on how to solve problems. And that's what training, and that's what your training really helps with.
Yeah.
Things like we were talking about, how long do you spend in parts? If you're writing down every day in your journal, writing down in every day in your journal that I'm spending this much time in parts, I'm spending this much time in parts, I'm spending this much time in, hold yourself accountable to that.
Yeah.
Right? If you're spending that much time in parts, why are you spending that much time in parts? Why are you standing at the desk talking about fantasy football or whatever the hockey game is last night? Why are you spending all of that time? Hold yourself accountable. If the parts aren't there, go back to your bay. However, you could also do something like reach out to Rich Tech Robotics. Just talked to them this morning. They literally have an AI-based robot that the parts department fills out the order, puts it on the robot, presses go, and it goes to the bay. Don't want to wait in parts anymore? Find a solution for it. But unless you understand that there are training, there is education, there is coaching, and there is processes out there so that you can learn how to figure out problems, like knowing what the problem is in the first place is half the battle.
That's a skill. To be a problem finder is a very big skill.
And then having the confidence and the trust in leadership to be able to go, hey, I've tracked this. This is what I've done to improve this. I've hit a wall. I went and searched to find a problem to overcome the wall. This is the solution.
Yes.
All of those things communicated professionally, proficiently with data will immediately make your service manager, your fixed ops director, whoever go, you basically just did my job for me. Yes, I kind of did, but I'm helping me. But if I can help me, it means I'm also helping the 17 other guys that are in the shop. And my wage that's going to go up because we solved this problem with this solution means that you're going to get the 17x multiple by solving it for everybody else in the shop, because everybody else is having the same challenge as I am.
100%.
So finding you, understanding that there is training available for them to improve outside of basic brand technical training, which I preach. Get your level 3. My God, folks, get your level 3. Once you get your brand training or are progressing through your brand training, understand that there is other training out there available to us to improve, make our pay better, make us happier, make us healthier, and just get through this career even better than we can possibly can.
Yeah, and if you're in a shop and you're a technician and you don't have some sort of like daily huddle meeting, then it's okay to bring that up, to your point, right? Because that transparent communication from everybody in the shop to really understand what's happening today, and then that ties right into the service advisors. They should be having a daily huddle as well. And what really needs to happen today? What's the most important thing that needs to happen in the shop today? Do we all understand our role and what needs to happen by the end of the day? Odds are, it's probably not happening in a lot of shops based on what we find, right?
You're probably top 5% shops
100%.
if you're lucky, because whilst I like to use the 80-20 rule, there's no way there's 20% of the population of stores that are being run with high value leaders. We have the word average for a reason.
Yeah.
Average means most people, most stores, most businesses, most leaders. Average.
Yeah.
The cream of the crop.
Yeah.
That's what I coach. Got to find yourself a high value leader to work for. Find your top 10%. Go work for them.
Yeah.
Then you're going to accelerate.
And the odds are that that person was probably promoted to failure anyways. Meaning they didn't have the training, they didn't have the resources that they were given. So there's a little bit of grace that goes with that, right? Because the odds are they weren't given the tools and resources to really get themselves there to become a top 10% leader.
How do folks reach out to you?
So you can find us online at VISPERIO.com. So that's www.visperio.com. Or we're on social media, LinkedIn, really heavy presence. Look up Kyle Newsom on social media or VISPERIO and you're going to find us.
Awesome. Thank you, Kyle.
Hey, thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Remember, folks, negative pushes, positive pulls, and always clean your toys before you put them away.